Alright fellas, well that was a bit violent. Tank Davis just faced off against Frank Martin and well, what a fight. The ruthless knockout artist in Gervonta Davis proved once again why he's a real problem at 135 and in contention to be in the pound for pound top 5. So I want to get into everything about this fight, talk a little bit about the build up, the fight itself and what lays beyond for both of these fighters. So let's get right into it. Now coming into this fight, Tank was coming off a 14-month layoff due to several reasons, but the main being the result of his legal issues. Yet he came back and picked a pretty strong and hungry opponent in Frank Martin. Martin coming in at 18-0 was a really good prospect which because of his technical skill and solid footwork posed a solid challenge to Tank. The build up of this fight wasn't anything out of the usual. Of course the fight was a part of a double feature with David Benavidez which I'll cover later in the week, so make sure to subscribe for that. But the build up wasn't anything crazy. The usual back and forth, building it up like they have some sort of past grudge and taunts of what they're going to do to each other. Nothing really out of the norm. The weigh-ins were interesting as Martin appeared to be pretty physically drained, even needing to sit down at the weigh-ins, and this seemed to be a running topic throughout fight week, with Tank quite easily making the weight, seemingly being able to really eat or drink whatever he wants and being able to taunt Martin about his struggles to make the weight. But when you look at Martin, he's unlike a Lomachenko or Tank who is really the natural size for the division. He could be considered a bit of a weight bully, not as bad as some of the others, yet he seemingly struggled to make the weight. And then it was fight night. I did like Tank's kit for the fight. The Chrome Hearts kit was pretty fire. Alongside this, I did like their play on the Ghostbusters theme, obviously a reference towards Martin's nickname being the Ghost. The walkouts were alright, nothing as big as Tank's walkout with say Chief Keef, but hey, still not bad. The fight though went basically how everyone would have predicted it to. Tank is now really known for his slow starts. He takes his time and reads his opponents over several rounds. He's incredibly patient, and that's all good when you have the power that Tank has. So of course, for the first few rounds, Martin on the scorecards banked those. Tank in these opening rounds threw limited punches. Martin's footwork was exceptional. Martin was being successful with the jab, 2 jabs, tripling them up, throwing combos, and even a couple of times almost catching Tank with the counter. Yet from the first bell, Tank was on the front foot, pressuring Martin using that classic high guard and not throwing much at all. As the rounds progressed, Tank began to get a bit more comfortable by the 4th, beginning to up his aggression a bit. Martin's game plan though did continue to work into the 5th, continuing to land some decent counters even when faced with Tank's power. By the 7th, we really started to see Tank unload. Martin's footwork really ceased to exist. He got too comfortable on the ropes. He obviously thought he was good there. He was looking for that big shot which really wasn't going to come. In that 7th round, he was getting trapped in that corner and that really wasn't a good sign. And once Frank's footwork has seized, it was only really a matter of time. What Martin was really successful at was keeping the fight at the center of the ring and not being brought into a close range battle. Once that started happening, it was really the beginning of the end for Martin, seeing that end in the 8th round by a vicious knockout by Tank. Martin was stuck in the corner and Tank landed an uppercut which Martin didn't see coming and the left finished it off. An absolute statement win by Davis. He finished off a really good prospect and a prospect who would be a problem for many others in the division. Now the question that comes naturally is what's next for Tank Davis? Well, the first fights which always come to mind are the big fights, the Lomachenkos, the Shakurs and the Pitbulls. So let's talk about these fights. Well, out of the 3, weirdly, I see Lomachenko being the most likely. I think out of the biggest opponents, Tank will probably see Loma as the easiest. Preliminary talks already took place before the bout and it seems like this will be next in a co-promotion between Top Rank and PBC. Bob Arum seems less enthusiastic to make the Stevenson fight, yet Stevenson's deal with Top Rank ends after his next fight, so there's a chance that Shakur leaves Top Rank and goes to PBC to fight Tank. This is probably one of the most hyped fights available for Tank, but I think it's unlikely for his next fight, but it'll probably happen at some point. The next is Pitbull. They're on the same promotion and many have been calling for the rematch, although Tank has seemed unkeen to do it again, and as well as this, Pitbull has moved up to 140, yet a Tank fight would bring him back down. Yet I see this as pretty unlikely. You also have fights such as the Ryan Garcia rematch, yet I think that's also pretty unlikely. With Garcia's antics missing weight against Haney, Tank wouldn't want to verse a 160-pound Garcia. Tank weighed in underweight for this fight, so no way he realistically wants to take a fight against a 140-pounder who is comfortable in missing weight. I think the most likely fight next is Lomachenko, with Stevenson following a close second. We're at a time in the lightweight division where really other than Martin in the top 10 there are no other big names with PBC. So either way, PBC will be forced to cross promote. so don't be surprised to see a big cross-promoted fight with Lomachenko being the top of their list, with this fight really being the only one brought up by all the journalists in the post-press conference. For Martin, quickly, I don't see this as the end of his career in the slightest. He's now a bigger name than ever, and I see him going back, taking a few comeback fights, and definitely coming back to challenge for a title within a couple of years. Yet in recap, Tank really showed he is a threat and definitely in the top 5 pound for pound debate. His ruthless power and time to perfection patience makes him a threat to anyone in the division, and he continues to make his mark on the sport, and his biggest fights are still ahead of him. Now I want to hear what you thought about the build-up, the fight itself, and what lays in the future for Tank Davis. But just quickly, if you've never watched me before, my name is Cloister and I make boxing videos to help keep you informed and updated, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it would be massively appreciated if you consider liking and subscribing. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.